and it's got to do with a energy sector levy. Now, energy sector levy, no, a MPP for a can send be. And one funny thing they say, from the time the energy sector levy, no, a buying way the buyer, no, me who one NPP near was suggesting other means and combine bet me raise this apart from that one city near the two petrol, no, till date. The minority in parliament, they have not been able to raise one solution. Say, okay, Sabani se oniska, Sabani se obetoka, Sabani pese or get rid of doomso. Sabani se opese energy sector no oshemukina into or the one city at two petroswa. Me who said the NPP that was in power for 8 years. The 88 minority in parliament led by Kasongo 99 Afenyomakino. I have not heard them say this is another or alternative the government can use to basically make sure our energy sector is fortified. But every time you hear them ranting and you ask yourself, say, into your mind, because I'm commanding and can show the answer. And then because John Muhammad found kurabim, so nobody was responsible for mining for the past 8 years. But now on mining show being sa. It is an all mining show being sa, and the end they drew her in less than 5 months. This is happening now. Ubebusa will say, Nipana na on mining shed in Sano, Nyan Saben or the Omane Faso. How was that person or that political party? How were they able to protect the sector? Because Sanka energy sector no Sanka a solidar anka NPP for Becca say. NDC Abain the sector is solid. Till date, the NPP government, abandoned to me country say, the Abain way say opeso ye are or sustaining your energy sector no. Till date, to me country say Abain bois. Every say anka sector didn't say ya, anka NPP for Becca said ye and say ye. The reason why they are not saying it's a sector didn't say is because they knew say when they were handing over the Abain or the sector to NDC, no, they knew they had collapsed it. And until till date, they have not been able to say, oh, one city no more genome some de kwako solve dum so ako make it sector no better no. Sa omoboa if we say the energy sector is robust. It is not. They know they destroyed it. Now OMCs, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies request 2-week transition period for implementation of energy sector levy to allow industry players aligned with major fiscal change. And I think this is in the right order. Oil marketing companies, say oil marketing company, PZ4. Mo asebi when the man come upon anko yi di bia anase mo amoko yi na mo so mabefie na enwubre mo ra ho a mo say mo de muntumi ndi fufuo nda na mo pese mo nom red ededa na metum fu se munjai no mo bi na metum fu ase red munjai no muntie me ma menjudwe mu kire o say oil marketing companies say bia bebi abu petrol bebi a okoto petrol any idea the friend filling stations no they from OMCs oil marketing companies into Shell ne sa Superstar ne sa bebi amuto to petrol no bebi a unam kroma utumi to petrol edugu car mu no they from OMCs them oil marketing companies na no and ne aban atena se aka say aban emom one city a wo de abeto petrol so no ye de ye bodwo so problem ye ni ho na emom ye person come 2 weeks if we say time na ode sa one city we beto petrol so no na ye mu bi no ye din kan akra petrol di biaba na ebi mu so no ye din kan to petrol na ebi so enam kwan so ba na ebi mu no so ye petrol kra bedro esipo so a twen se ye be offload no fa MPA inti aban also nya abotrema na 2 weeks no ye mfa check your books ne hu se ya tenetene bibia ansana one city now they are petrol no sebio sa one city no ya implement it. And I think this is in the right direction. Because they are businesses omo ebi mo ha obo din kan to petrol na nam kwan so ba obo ha ne de na bedru onyampo offload ye obo also ogukso all turn de no. So these are all things obi besie these are all things they need to carefully look at before they jump onto the area one Ghana city levy na yedabeto petrol so no. So this is in the right direction and I expect the government to also agree with them because say omo ankasa airton petrol no mokofa nyoma no so when to me ne omo enya ntenase any understanding eba ene na hu prices of fuel fluctuating because we make say ai time ye shemra no na me petrol nam kwan so na me dollar to awie obi so na me de aba na me nyanton ye nti aban say aban agya tum say oni bibi omo 2 weeks omo na this suggestion by aban say fine Some one city near the better sooner to dia 2 weeks in the bottom yamamo. Into a buying amom 2 weeks. So among financial monkratem now among Josu Nyoma now after 2 weeks implementation or anything and starting wejuma. And I see this as good news and I applaud the oil marketing companies in Ghana. At least they are seeing the difference between the John Mahama administration and the Kominini's tribal political funeral party, almost administration. So what's the difference now? This government is a listening government. They are open for discussion. They always make sure say so many obia edin sawaswa. They give them all the year. In fact, say nipano and as institution and as ekuono. So omo pese abankra adjust omo to suit the omo yana. The government is a government that is very flexible when it comes to negotiating. Into aban we say no problem. Yenim say mabuboka. But this government is ready to work with the OMCs. OMCs, they don't have a problem with the one city. Petrol, any problem with the one city. It also say this levy abainwo eden eje edi atinitini yenkania sem ama eka MPP bogu ono yetumi atika ne free ono. The OMCs omo petrol krampo no mujitum say abainwe is taking the right step. Funeral party no, a year party no, a bushia party no, the MPP no, you never heard anything like this. Every single day they were suppressing OMCs, they were suppressing BDCs because in their mind, whatever they wanted to do, they did it. But the NDC government led by John Mahama and the energy minister, they have seen say there are players in this game and they need to bring them along and make sure say the right thing is done. Into the OMCs, abai amomu 2 weeks to make sure say they put their books in order. As far as someone rejected one city, it means they know the government is taking the right decision. And I applaud them for this because Sankomo a problem with the one city and come resist it. But right now, they are not resisting the one city. They are telling the government to give them time for them to relook at their books and put themselves in order before the implementation of the energy sector levy will go on. But we are going to stay here a little bit. We are going to stay here a little bit because I will see a church in Yamabim. Beginning of my statement, say the NPP as a political party, ebe sinne. I want to mean for any alternative idea beyond by say abain. One city now ojini jai. Nemum your idea for frobia. Yentumi use ya sa idea na betuma aboa and make it say ebenye sika e dey solve your energy sector problem no ebe sinne. All that the NPP are doing is that they are lying to the MPP foolish foot soldiers. MPP were in power for 8 years. Yamomo 8 solid years. They were supposed to think and make sure say omo ye energy sector na every ekam. We were here when they told us to say NDC every power January 2017. Now you excess power. Meaning near too much energy. Meaning say too much power. We can sell some and make money. Say NDC every power. And now sign a contract to say Muslim contract to mono. That contract wasn't a good contractor. So excess power. Then you can sell the excess power to offset the contract in the canal or the brain. Now, air na excess power. So, be a contract to a contract no air accrue data. Ultimate for excess power no and solve our problem no. It means to say from the beginning no. Na MP before him say omu base na Jimmy omu go school omu bon a year and omu pe. Until they decided to just lie to them. For 8 years, these guys were in power. They could not solve a dumso. Every single day they were pushing the problem to the next day. What the NPP did in power for 8 years and they say, Doomsa problem now, they kept moving the problem every single day. Energy crisis, what they did every day was that they kept pushing it day to day. So one were pushing it 3 months, one were pushing it 4 months. So in your head, you might think, say, NPP are solving a Doomso. The fact of the case is, say, from 2017 to 2024 December, na NPP and solving a power crisis. In fact, they added more debts. It was during the NPP time. And you who say PURC, any are buying every time they are going to bring out a utility prices not into question because NPP are buying. They don't want Ghanaians to see the real debt and until MDC bar power who a canker sa daho. Remember, NPP 4 say you tia E-levy IMF. G E-levy no and I'm sorry IMF. almost idea kwa IMF no and omudi enkania no sa kosi awawa say every 3 months biano every 4 months no I was say ton kanim. They did not tell you. It was in the document. We read it here. We all know. So every time I never took Kanye Bibiamno, all that they did was they suppressed PURC and told them say, oh, sa eye bebia e kaneshano, omo catch say omo fanton chena, omo betia. So every single day, no, they were eye de Ghana, eye energy, nkania and some kano, na eye carry forward. Now, something is happening. The NDC government, they want to take a bold step. And Ghana, your biggest problem as a nation, is energy. The first thing they want to do, and they say, they want to build more gas plants. Senebea, or my Ghana, your reliance on petrol, ebeko form. Into one, NDC Abaiba Power and John Mahama, and John Jenapo, they have started building a plant, gas plant, big one. They are thinking of introducing another bill in Parliament to start building a second plant, meaning they are being very, very proactive. They are thinking about the future. They want to cut out that liquid fuel. No, they want to use gas. How to sustain our energy. You don't rely too much on petrol because it is looking more like tona enyejuma. The petrol so you wahana yeton yentumi and refine Ghana. So John Mahama and the NDC, they want to end this power crisis, energy crisis, once and for all. Because from Kufuor time, and Kufuor nim se dum so ho. The documents in Nachremo. J. Kufuor, Papa Kufuor, no nim se dum so ho. He could not solve dum so. So that problem, dum so problem, no, it has lived for a very long time, and continuously we've not had a government that could take a bold decision to say, you know something, we want to end this dum so once and for all. So what happened was that in 2016, the John Mahama administration took the biggest hit because Dumso, it had grown to the point it became a man, and then it started the destruction. If John Mahama not being so lucky, in 2015, 2016, Dumso hit. Remember, there were so many things that came together to cause a Dumso in 2015. Our population was growing. Secondly, basically, more companies were being put up. People were relying more on electricity. Thirdly, you realize, the country as a nation, we were relying so much on the akosombo. We were not having enough money to be buying a lot of diesel. There were so many small complications that Emma Dumson Ebeji Sim. But the John Mahama administration in 2015, they took a decision. Sankema John Mahama to also from 2016 and can energy problem of Ghana. The reason why I'm saying this is because they decided to solve the Dumso problem. Before John Mahama left power, January 2017, na Dumso never existed. Because not the car power ba, because not wasa and making sure say you expanded the rich near the America ba. So our power crisis, the problem and not is facing, it had been solved. Now we needed consistency in fighting the debt that always cripples our energy sector. Interhona John Mahama ejai abino edema sankwasiafo from MPP way. When they came, instead of them to build on what John Mahama left, because Obiani Ghana Betumaka say from 2015 to 2016, yeah, the power Emma Kufuor that Dumso Ghana, there was no Dumso, it had been solved. Emma Napomo Bekachere say we had excess power, meaning they came to meet enough power. Enough power was being generated. Now, because they could not build on the energy, remember, Mamika Bincho, you need to build on energy to be able to make money to protect your energy. Because energy, it creates money on its own. And if you don't invest in the energy sector, you will not be able to make money out of the energy sector to protect that energy sector. In the energy sector now, it needs to generate its own protection plan. And the NPP government, led by Ekufuado, Bawumia, Kennedy Japan, Brand Champon, any community, they did not understand this simple thing. Because when it comes to meet Ameri, and your idea in United say America should work and that in this car near the diesel, what is going to happen is even maintaining that America their car power, even making sure say they stay in good shape, you will need to raise money to maintain it. Now these people at the end of the day were entering the money that we were raising into Usha. They were stealing all the money from ECG. And that money that ECG was collecting, it was supposed to go back in building the energy sector. Into which economy jaguana, you realize say they left a lot of debts at the ECG, all because the money that was supposed to take care of the energy, that money that the energy sector generated, or the revenue we got from energy sector, that is supposed to go back. It's a cyclical thing. It's supposed to go back to take care of the energy sector. They were eating the money, they were chopping the money, they were spending the money. Into the energy sector was suffocating. Was suffocating to the point whereby we knew that there was doomsday in Ghana. At a point, Yebusa Napo as the energy minister, doomsday is happening. We don't have light. Or say your timetable. That was the level of disrespect. This funeral party, MPP, they showed Ghanaians. Now, something is happening under this government. And Sibiu, Mamika Bibinche Ghana for the work we do here, we just don't come sit here. We always try to open your mind. Ye biawa dream. Send a beabohu amamuo papa any amamuo tantain. The MPP bear no amamu ananyansanim. Now aban way they have been in power for just 5 months. Now my men show nyansa on my way and as aban way ede chichire on my Ghana. So one city way I had two petrol no. Remember NPP for Kasa omo your press conference. In fact, so share some of the things they are saying now. Uhu obi to say eyedien kojo pon kroma or say the minority and omo press conference MPP for a funeral party. Say the minority advises the government. They are advising. They are not actually bringing any solution. They are rather advising. Ask yourself, when I'm on air advising, these were the people we gave the energy sector to for 8 years. Omoboka over 10 billion. Emma, sa problem can solve you. Today, a Jimmy for us about some be 2 years. Momoto mon mudare kwa mo horomoto. For 8 years, mudare ama horomoto. Ade china se obiaba betrefie wa. Wo firi abonten be ka chen sai, o be chere sibia ye den, e wo so horomoto. These are people who don't think. Now, what are they asking? Now, the minority advises the government to expedite efforts till the minority advises the government to expedite efforts to improve the efficiency of GRIDCO and ECG operations in order to reduce transmission, distribution, and other technical losses as a strategy to help address the energy sector debt. MPP4 and remember, for the past 8 years, Nankwasiafo de Ghana energy so. Almost say, Omutu abino for say, oh, abino. On to nyoma ye na GRIDCO njina na so na sebio ECG sene baya enyirimu nkania sene ye beche no Ghana na obi anya kania na bibia gigina na so akọ toti no omumom etu aban ne fu sa akwa ne tisa bama omutena power 8 years sa nyansa ro nya because unim they know say followers na Jimmy they forget easily, they just forget everything easily. Say lap dogs. MPP funeral party way omo some followers it say chema wuntumi omo adwene wo fom omo so omo followers say ablonye omo adwene wo fom omo so omo Jimmy. You sat in government for 8 years, you could not implement or advise yourselves to make sure ECG becomes efficient, GRIDCO became efficient. You could not do that. Now kwasiafo mobile opposition 5 months you are advising. Who are you advising? P34 inti a year party no and omo ka kire se omo peso butu aban na fo umu wajimi efutu ben na betu aban. There was a reason why me ka kire mo say the energy sector generates its own revenue and that revenue takes care of the energy sector. Omo say omo ka say aban no enhwe na ECG njina na so any GRIDCO njina na so sene be ya the reason why I say GRIDCO any ECG engineer say ECG any GRIDCO omudakemwa yentumi nyangire munkania and nkwasiafo they knew. So the fact is when the energy sector cannot generate revenue, you have to understand you have deficiencies in your energy sector. And that is what we are experiencing because a canon kofo weja to hono sa a canon na many energy sector na ama aban way find these solutions once and for all to stop it. Now momi anko tie nkofo we afenyo marking Kasongo 99 MPP4 omo minority leader no oba bi obehye bi ono ne be wo afenyo marking Winnie for asase waje 99 years oso omo Jimmy wafa ni trimu kakawure na down for pa on the bo eye kosua tafre anaju 22 by 11 eye Madam Tokonu eye ex and I said former Chief Justice. We sorry obi yire no kwaji nipa na yire wie no e na sa threaten nipa no if you say sa nipa no kwaji ne yire no ne sa ne girl no ne nua be ma fe ne jeje e de ne kotekoto nipa na waje ne yire no ne ba enum e ma afenyo mark friend wo phone so e threaten no me bo no ha kwasi ampanyi we ni so ye lawyer wo Ghana odwa na mumye nkotie eye afenyo mark no omo se de yenko bebia o ye bebi kwa anke aka kire aha ne wo ye be dwedwema magana fo ehunu kure no. You give back 2 billion and take 5.7 billion and the MPP for say eye NDC aban no aye den aye ama Ghana for 2 billion and omasaje eye 5.7 billion through eye den one cedi na omodi abeto den omodi abeto eye petrus no na momye nkoti omo na meka asemi nchiro.
Number 2, government should quicken the efforts to bring efficiency into the operations. Number 6, the e-levy was designed to yield approximately 2 billion Ghana cedis from persons who elected to do transfers or transactions. Now, colleagues, you are here in Parliament. You will recall the day that the e-levy was repealed. Our good friend, the majority leader, was on his feet, shouting his voice hoarse that the government has put 2 billion cedis back into the pockets of Ghanaians. I'm sure you recall. This Dumsor levy is taking from everybody over 5.7 billion cedis for this fiscal years. So if repealing the e-levy puts 2 billion back into the pockets of Ghanaians, what does introducing the Dumsor levy that takes away 5.7 billion do? In his own words, this government is taking 5.7 billion Ghana cedis from the pocket of Ghanaians. And we think it is very dishonest because if you claim that you are giving Ghanaians 2 billion back, which was so untoward, it was evil by the previous administration, how do you give back 2 billion and take 5.7 billion from the people? It's only the NDC government that does that, justifies it, and expects everybody to say that that is some smart economic approach.
PZ for Mamin Church na kujo pon kroma ekano. O see eye ade friend energy sector levy a eye 1 cedi ye dey ato petrol so no. O see obese oma Ghana 40 ase on se opon kroma ne MPP for mu say MPP base no monte brofo. De bia me ka kire mo omo de brofo be jimi mu a na omo de nya omo ho tem because omo say mo mudodo no mo na mo ye foolish masses no mo nko school e na monte brofo. In some of your pon kroma kai no 99% of MPP supporters omo ntia ase because wonu say mo jimi kojo pon kroma kasa na o say eye NDC aban ba power e na omo say oh omo betwa e-levy ene other levies no inti ama aban no ayeden e save 2 billion ama Ghana for. That means eye 2 billion na sebio e-levy egia na omo say omo de baye no aban eye NDC ababaya omo betwa e-levy any other taxes mu no o say NDC aban ka say sa 2 billion no sebio eye Ghana for sika anka ebe hye ende aban no e save Ghana for into see sa 1 cedi ya ye dey ato petrol so no omo MPP for say sa 1 cedi we no sa wo ye calculation na e kire say aban e de nsa ahye Ghana for bottom a we 5.7 billion efri omo bottom kojo pon kroma asema wo kan no ne nyansemu no o see NDC for ka say omo twa e-levy mu no omo save Ghana for 2 billion inti ebasa na Ghana for ye nyina sika nka ebese no sa sika ne kai bottom 2 billion into see ende de say NDC ede 1 cedi levy abeto edien so abeto petrol so a na eno e kire se eye NDC aban de nsa ahye Ghana for bottom a omo yi 5.7 billion inti omo bu ofu ye pa inti ama MPP for no omo nya dede me pese bi busa kodo pon kroma wa hwe podoma na nia yellow mumusa ne se aban we ye NDC aban so ba power no na petrol e was 16 Ghana a liter and aban no 3 cedis every eye petrol suma and the petrol sebio oya calculation na ma menya ne simple ma o de yefam free eye 17 to eye 12 ana 16 to 13 aban we ba power Mo ankasa mo confession no na 16 and amuja 1 liter. And John Mahama banned by 5 months. We yi airden, we yi petrol so 3 cedis. Into we calculation na aban no save airden Ghana for sika 16 billion. Nanko say free Ghana for bottom na eko. And so NDC aban buy no. Sa 3 cedis now we free petrol liter so no. And they will save Ghana for 16 billion in their pocket. It also wage me. Say ye can kremwa and the NDC abana save Ghana for more 5.7 and it's 16 billion. NDC abana power. Now petrol was 16 Ghana cedis a liter. And the petrol 13 or 12. Let's put it that way. Sa 3 cedis na John Mahama etumi yi free so no. Sa sika no nanka o se ko Ghana for bottom. And John Mahama SI Sasikana de Shagana for bottom. Oh yes, our calculation now 16 billion. It is our buyer save 16 billion. No, say 5.7 billion. Now you fan save a doom so free ho. Now fan save energy sector now. Ukwasi ya ote parliament. Oju so the nyansa che di otonwa di OPZ no. Into o kabro fo nyansa. Into sanka ushemwa. The NDC government, they have saved Ghana more than anything else. And what they have introduced is a permanent long-term solution. What the NDC government has introduced today, a long-term solution to solving our power crisis. Because this one city is going to go a long way to, at the end of the day, avert all the debt. So one city is going to fight it, because when we are able to fight a Canada China, the energy sector will breathe, and we will be able to get enough to do what? To power the generators. I'm talking about money, because right now every single sikebi ebe raise from electricity ebe to Ghana for no. I'll say the go to yaka. Abani say ya the one city be to ho. Ya the sa one city no ebe ko saka no. Inti from enda no ya raise sikebia through energy. And I say ECG. Sa sika no ya the bet na ho to say ebe bo eye kan ya ho nsem ho ban. E dey be na ope. Inti as we speak, say sama to number some ye dia. Then clearly the NDC government they have saved Ghanaians 16 billion. 16 billion. Because na petrol, na a letter, almost 17 Ghana cedis. And somewhere around 12. Inti ekakranka, ode memfanchamo, oyi 3 cedis. Sa 3 cedis no, anka NPP abai, na mo jifri Ghana for bottom. John Mahama bai no sadi sa 3 cedis na she Ghana for bottom. 16 billion and over. Inti, anywhere you see it, the NDC government is really helping. In fact, let me show you something. Oh, say NDC abai no, Mr. P. NDC Abana, every time they come to office, what they do is they raise funds for specific things. So we study NDC Abana very well, and as NDC, a party now. Every time they come to power, they raise funds for specific things, and it is because the way their governance style, and they say they try to deal with specific problems individually. And the moment you are able to do that, you are able to also free the citizens from Sabedena Edomosono. Into check here from 2012 to 2016, NDC government they created 4 funds. 4 from 2012 to 2016. They created a year for 219, and Safotono it was geared, or it was created specifically for specific problems. And he said, I want to show you something. Let me guide you with this. Thank you, team. My team just brought me this to show you. Make sure the difference between MPP and NDC abayimpa. MPP omo jimio, they don't have knowledge about governance. Every time I NDC will power obiano, it's a problem, major problems so why omo create specific solutions to it. This is what the NDC did when they came to power. These are some of the specific solutions they created for problems they meet, and that is what they are doing today. And internet, they're only 1 city over 2 petrol, because they want to solve the energy crisis. Crisis now for years and years. Adawa, in Kwasiafo Weba, MPP for slogan and the concept, the NDC government, they want to end that crisis. Now, this is what they did. From 2012 to 2016, these are the funds they created. Created Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, which is called the GIF. It was established in 2014 under the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, 2014 Act 877. This fund was designed to mobilize financial resources for infrastructure development in key sectors like energy, transport, and water. In 2014, make sure the difference between MPP and NDC. So all this MPP kasaka Jimmy, they don't know how to govern. Now in 2014, NDC for ya a critique a funder, it was geared towards making sure say over a energy sector, transport, and water now you to me dealing with the problems there. And it's the boom in infrastructure under John Mahama from 2012, 13, 14, 15 because they knew say we needed specific money for specific problems. Until they always create fund your footwear a footwear edisika gum na edi dwumabi. Omo we na mo create sinking fund when you under NDC. Make sure the difference between MPP and NDC. MPP omo Jimmy ye na omo ya ade na eba amamu a omo nim nyansanti. They cannot govern. Omo sa create a sinking fund. Now, although not a revenue generating fund per se, this was strengthened to help manage and retire public debt. It's sinking fund no no what was doing in the say a car na a die swa na ne kono aye kwankro no sa eka no sa fund we dwuma na edin say wo ha na ye woka bia emene ya ne akoyi bi ne de kokom we nyina aye funder NDC aban under John Mahama, Professor Mills, JJ Rollins more omunim nyansa no they created. So NDC no they create solutions for specific problems. And they are creating solution for energy crisis now. For years, that is why they have brought the one city because it is geared towards reviving our energy sector. Now, I mentioned the other two funds are NDC creating here, MPP. They cannot boast of these things. So, my Jimmy, a year in Sabodia and Kwasiadia, any Jimmy and Omodiate party, they don't really have anything for you people. NDC is creating petroleum fund. That is the Ghana Heritage Fund and Ghana Stabilization Fund. And let's see a footwear. What was it geared towards? While these were established under the previous administration, 2008-2012, Atamos and a creative fund way to war. 2008-2012 and Atamos no, John Mahama, we am a vice president. Let's create this fund. And the NDC government managed and utilize them for fiscal stabilization and long-term savings from oil revenue. Inti sa petroleum fund way na sika ye start say ye tu fango na ye pese ye DBC no sa fund way atamos create say sa eye fango na ye tu no ye be yi sika bi afiri mu a emfaso e benya na ho ne ye de beto na ye de sa mfaso no ye de di dwuma bi aboa Ghana. This is the NDC. Internet someone creating a BB friend energy sector levy. Do not be surprised. They have a target. They want to solve another problem. They are creating a windows to solve a problem. Yen na nanu nyine ntuma solve. Je kufo by when creative fund ba kumpo. E bini dan obesi ye. Kufo do ba Mick Mill na bebo onyum ewo the Flagstaff House. Ba omia betwa atro Kennedy wa bodam. Brand champo kronfo be energy sector okwa abrochire oso okwa military intelligence oboa no obu petro enkwasiafo we ntumi nchichire man ma omu wie na mu bie bibia fe no earmarked funds for social interventions. These are some of the funds and these are buying bie ya omu de solve specific problems. Team omu de solve specific problems. Make sure now earmarked funds for social interventions. The NDC government introduced or expanded various social programs. We expanded programs the savings and loan scheme for traders, Maslock loans, and the Ghana Youth Employment and Enterprise Development Agency, GIDA, and which were funded through budgetary allocation and revenue generating measures. These were all funds. These were all funds that were put together by the NDC government to solve generational problems. And it's John Mahama, the nation builder. The nation builder, no, it did not just come. It came from these kind of things. He created a fund that he could go pick money and create more infrastructure, build more. The NDC, they have always been on top of the game. Get fund. And they created all these things because they know, say, as a government, your get fund, your ESLA, your GIF, your all these things were funds, and they are to do specific things. In turn, and this is the one city about 7 petrol, so we move petrol free 17, they are about 12. No, see, for one city, so they have fighting a energy crisis. In 5 months, the government is building gas plant. Now, to also on Tiasie. With Jimmy, Sandy Pano Odi foresight, omunya proactive. They are not ready to come and govern to help you. They are ready to come and govern to steal, like the way they stole in the past 8 years. And there's a difference between NDC and MPP. The NDC always finds solutions to specific problems. Now, do you understand? And it's not na ye be Ghana for any, and it's not no. We don't care. We don't care because you see, our job here is to make sure say mo amudi MPP china mo jimi no ye be bie mo adwenem mo jimi mo kura no be hu nyansa e wo sada abi party we ye for party MPP party we a tribal party we akronfo party we nya party betumi di mpuntu abre Ghana. And I'm telling you what the NDC is doing, they have done and what they determined to do. Now Shadie Mama Chawa Debu ha oh Mr. B. All right, so let me summarize this for you. Menchel fund no NDC sika omuja 2 in 2016. Answer no free power no. Ekufuado Bawumia Kennedy Japan Brand Champon or say Chairman Sabonsu before we buy before NDC left power in 2016. Mamenchel intended I said Bibia by a friend 1 city energy sector levy. Remember them to show they have a plan. Shade answer na time na NDC free power 2016. Sika omujagu different funds muni eni. Me pesa MPP for Babon Tebeka near Buanaska weni ho. Oforiata mobile omu diska we nyina. Oba from 2016 Sika NDC jato ho. They create solutions for specific problems. Sika NDC jato sinking fund na 864 million. What about dollars ma $200 million. John Mohammed jato was a kufuado je. Twaso. Kwasi achichide ne ba ye no so hwe ye ni premanfo kokemfo ni wifo ne aba e no mo start ye e no mo boko ka no mo wi 200 million o mo di ni nyina sinking fund John Mahama mu eja Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund John Mahama mu ja $325 million capital seed money om tu mu give almost $325 million. And Ojame Kufuado, Bawumia, Kennedy Japan, Oseche Mensa Bunsu, Ofuriata, Semonje, Namon Tuaso. Mumusa MPP so free power. Nasika say naka give him. Me the bachiramu. Time omu free power. Nanu sika aka give accounts in him. Heritage Fund, John Mahama Muja $305.6 million. And Sana free power 2017 January. Omo the creative fund no photo om the sika to am say monje. Na mon kabin ka ho. Ne amfa chire Ghana. Unim sika omja to heritage fund time free power. Kwasi afo say na yenya omden. Ye mamu tumi. And these were solutions to problems so. And they just don't have general solutions. So they have specific solutions to specific problems. And that is what they are doing today. Now, Uber Stabilization Fund, John Mahama NDC, Omuja $247.9 million. Mumusa MPP from Kwasiafoi, our parliament say, Sikano Wayne. Omun to see toilets. A toilet, Domuya, dear, Omuko Yane, Domuya, and the Baumia Kachel. Omun to see one regional hospital. One. The NPP now and Omuya press conference upon press conference, Ekan Kwasiabro from News Omu based in Tiasiano, they could not build one regional hospital. They came to meet all these monies. Mrs. Onsa Mahama Bana and say wasabe be Mahama case or discover gumo. Mahama Bana and say also be Mahama case is geared toward health problems. Omo munya yare ko ankra sebi onim se debi yemma yenananom a omugwa santimemu a galamse nsuo ama ebimu widiem mercury koma in the next 10-15 years yare beba omuntumi enko hospital enye sika no Mahama endemeno ka say or the Mahama case aba sa foto re the case abegum because you say MPP for Kwasiafo omuntena power 42 years na obu ofu. The NDC, they know what they are doing. They have always solved problems. In fact, semitim ni puli sika a car all these funds and some MPP free power, you'll be shocked. E-levy. Mamembo video been shown. Kind of for that time in 2017. Mamembo video actual. We are not going to lie to you about anything. In 2017, Esla. Oforiata Ejina Parliament, Muntie de Okaye, Me catch them say MPP for Omejimi. Listen to Kenoforiata in Parliament 2017 Esla. John Mahama Debaye.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated that he will collateralize revenue from the e-levy if he deems fit. This will be at the back of the collateralization of many other regular revenue sources, such as the GET Fund, ESLA, Road Fund, among others. But what does the country gain from this particular move, and why do people see it as a dangerous one?
Collateralization of revenue.
Sorry. We're at 2022. 2022. I got it wrong. In fact, before that, I need to play the first video before I play a second one. Mr. S, I need to play the 2012 one. So my team, they catch him, say I should show you this video first. Team. Okay. This is 2017. 2017, Ken Ofori-Atta Parliament. Listen to Ken Ofori-Atta. Me and Mechichi match on PZ4.
To ensure irreversibility, we are implementing the following measures to tackle some of the long-term structural issues. Capping of the statutory funds at 25% of government tax revenue. Thank you very much for your support. Operationalization of the Treasury single account to consolidate all government funds at the Bank of Ghana. Tightening of expenditure controls in GIFMIS to minimize inefficiencies and budget overruns. Strict enforcement of the PFM Act as well as the Public Procurement Act to ensure efficiency in public procurement. And adoption of the competitive tender process, which is eliminating wastage and giving Ghanaian taxpayers real value for their money. We have successfully refinanced the first tranche of the energy sector legacy debt through the issuance of the first ever energy bond by ESLA Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to announce that this successfully raised 4.7 billion Ghana cedis, over $1 billion, and is now the highest ever energy bond in Africa. We have also introduced the cash waterfall mechanism to prevent new debt accumulating.
2017, Ojina Parliament or ESLA wonsam. How they were able to use ESLA and the amount of money amubeto ya omuhu de sika na ESLA deba. Mumbuso muso mufi power na aka saying ewa ESLA nim. This is the MPP I'm talking about. Adia utie we 2017. On say we won itiri ho and a fake accent. Mr. Speaker, no kuta bottle. Mwe Jimmy Amano. Sa kwa champagne wan be wi sika every senate. Obotan deal. Forensic audit say yanchini tum and akwase we kwatena brochire. Oba no hwe white. And ye de tabona to no so say yanchini shema. Kwase bi say ontia say we rebusu ne release letter e be kan. 2022 osa collateralize muntie Ken Ofori-Atta. This is 2022.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated that he will collateralize revenue from the e-levy if he deems fit. This will be at the back of the collateralization of many other regular revenue sources, such as the GET Fund, ESLA, Road Fund, among others. But what does the country gain from this particular move, and why do people see it as a dangerous one?
Collateralization of revenue, basically, means using a particular revenue source and borrowing against it. It's just like taking a loan and agreeing that either all or part of a particular revenue be used to pay for the loan over an agreed period of time.
Can you imagine what a lump sum of, say, $30 billion could do to the Ghanaian economy today, in case we got that from collateralizing e-levy revenues? Indeed, if the lump sum is strategically used, it could even create other revenue sources that could more than compensate for what the e-levy would have generated annually. But if the money is misused, then the country, future governments, as well as generations would have been denied a regular source of income while they are saddled with a huge debt. So can we say, based on revenues already collateralized, that it is the best option? Well, for former Finance Minister Sid Tekpe, he does not think so.
But in terms of debt management, it has been a poor strategy because we only collateralize and then we leave the principal, and defer it to future generations. Meanwhile, we want to take the heritage fund, from the same future generations. I don't think it's a good solution, to any of our problems. At least it has not led to any reversal of the downgrade.
On his part, Professor of Finance John Gachi thinks the country needs a framework to guide any decision to collateralize revenue sources to check abuse.
So the levies have been collateralized. Now, what it means is that they could only do what they have collateralized it for within this short period. Beyond that, the long-term period, those revenues are largely not available, depending on the percentage of collateralization and the length of time. So what you are doing is that in the next 5 years, that revenue will not be in full available to any government to operate with. And that is a risk for the future.
These are the format here. MPP are buying. Sika or mine yenya as revenue. Say yajeje taxes and I did you maybe ni nyam faswa. Size pass one ebano, omudia kwesi awawa. Inti 11 na John Mahama betwe mu no. Na a right so twem because 11 krampo sika bia na every mu badi bia no omudi si awawa. Omudi esla sika bia na ebe mu bia si awawa. Sa fund ni nyina no kwasiafo we and then we press conference. Into the first thing the NDC government did was that yesika bia na ewo say yenya sebio yetudibo man no brana omudi ko si awawa no they had to renegotiate and take us out of that slavery. And that is called resetting. Yahumbe kom kakra, yabe break kakra, yabenya bumpy ride kakra, and that is what this government is doing. Inti under MPP no, they no nyina say they don't find any alternative means to make money. They don't think out of the box. What they do is they create more taxes in different names, and then when it creates the taxes, the revenue that those taxes bring, they collateralize it. And what happens is say, sa sikane bano, no masadi siawawa, inti sikane krampono, and timi beye bibia magana. For 8 years, that is how we left. For 8 years, that is how the NPP government, that is how we lived with them. As a nation, we didn't have anything to our name. And the funny thing is, sir, our one no must say critic companies. Companies are yes, say interest in the momo. Into Kenufuyata Enterprise Insurance, not only insurance for a dealer. Collateralization abasono, they will be taking a share as brokers. Into what they were doing is they were making billions at our expense. And Nkwasiafo today are sitting on the sidelines advising Ghana for. They just want to come in again and rechange the names and start collateralizing and start sharing the country as personal property. And that is what they did. I know refi we nyina I na technology and tom see refi and it betena ha na yenya time na ya chire Ghana for adekudintia MPP a dangerous political party. And Mahamudu Bawumia Kennedy mo the most dangerous thing about Kennedy Bawumia Brian Champon we ma ko ehu pa Bawumia not cabinet Kennedy Japan and Brian Champon na Brian Champon at a point also to cabinet and a Kennedy Japan at parliament. Now what happens and then say so for that time, eco collateralize a idea. Omni sikali ko ekosi awawa. No ma ko cabinet. Omko cabinet no ma giatum. Na dia yan say, by the champion cabinet as a minister. Na Bawumia cabinet as the vice president. Na Kennedy Japan at the parliament in Omo. Into Omo parliament a cabinet no gituma. No mo about parliament. About parliamenta. Na Kennedy Japan endorse it. Sankwasi afo we some person be the president. 442 no mo boy no. Brian Champon no a minister. Bawumia now a vice president. Into Mumia Nuko cabinet. No mako tum say the Kenufurata yina engine tum or the Levi by engine tum or the way by engine tum. Omu we are Musamofanko parliament ko pass. Into Mu we are not small Brian Champon. Baomia endorse wo cabinet no no atena office atwen na Brian the Champon the aba parliament na Kennedy Japan to into Brian the Champon the bar no vote yes na Kennedy Japan so vote yes omu yom say e dey ahwabukon. And that was what they were doing with us. And these people want to tell us, say, Omunsanim, how? Because Anka Kenofreta erased that idea. Or the parliament in Pono, Baomia, who objected to it. And Anka say, on Kanwa, you should have come out to tell us, say, what your own count, the endorsement at cabinet, on count. But Baomia voted in cabinet, about parliament, now Brian Champon voted yes, and then Kennedy Japan also voted yes. Into the implementation, for the thing to take effect, Brian Champon, Kennedy Mune Baomia, Kenofurata Hachi idea with Tima, not Baomia, I make sure say access your cabinet, not Kennedy Mo and Brian Mo, I voted on in parliament. Into Stadia, that was the format. And then Kwasiafu so many Munyansa, Yantam Ghana Momo, Brian Champon Kennedy. They should come out and tell me one thing about parliament they didn't vote for. Brian Champon, only Kennedy Japan. They should come out and tell us one thing. Kennedy Kenofuriata, about parliament, or no Brian Champon voted yes. He voted yes to every single shit. Kennedy Japan can yeah to every single shit. And Kwasiafu catcher say, I Baomia Jimmy into your power. And that was the plan they played with us. That was what they did throughout. Into all the taxes that they were pushing on us, they will hatch it. Into second of Rata Kran away Jimmy and Oya corrupter. Now ba umie. So one soswa, so one supporter. Why didn't you release a statement to tell us that no, you don't want to be part of these things happening in cabinet? You sat there, you endorsed it. Ebedu Parliament, Brian Champo endorsed it. Kennedy Japan endorsed it. Every single nonsense these people passed, Brian Champo and Kennedy, they sat through it. In fact, when it came to defending it, they sat in parliament and were part of the debate. Kennedy de Wankebi debating on Yadie. Brian the Champion sat in parliament and you debated on the nonsense. Kwasia 4 and the Kwasia oh ye PG video and our about typhoon and time and our Jimmy ye who so politician da. In the Kennedy Jimmy no and about me Jimmy no yan tam power mamo. And I'm going to say Jimmy ne tikrom hana. Mobetina opposition 42 years. Adam we am say